Alright, so we are lighting smokers, and you'll find there are different models. And one of the things I'd start off by saying is when you go to finish, you put out your smoker by putting a stick in there. And that will do two things. One thing is it will choke it out, put out the fire for you, but also it will keep the hole clean, and it will prevent you from choking out your smoker with the creosote that may build up in there. And most smokers you find will have a grate like this. It has feet on it, and you want to make sure these feet are face down on the bottom of your smoker so that it lets the air underneath and it keeps your fuel lit so it can smolder. So you want to carefully put that in there and make sure it's upside right. And at that point, you wedged it in there by the you've got the little bellows there, so you can get it caught on the bellows. So you don't want it to get caught there. But alright, so it's in there. If you see, feet are down, and then you have several different types of fuel you can start with. I would use pine straw and or cotton as a starter, maybe not as your main fuel, but it's definitely helpful to get it lit. So, or you can use paper, newspaper would be fine. So what you want to do is, let's say we're going to use some wood chips. You get like a very small layer on the bottom, like a small base, and you put that on the very bottom, and then you put your cotton fuel right up underneath there a little bit. And there are different lighters out there. You've got a small cigarette lighter, which I would not recommend. And instead, you should opt for one of these guys, a grill lighter. And what you do is, so you see where it's down in there, and it's just underneath your fuel, and you can light that, and then it will light your wood chips, and you slowly puff it and get the wood chips on fire. And then once you have a decent fire built, then you can start adding fuel to that. And you want to be kind of careful not to, don't puff it as you're going to maybe add fuel. You can puff it and then have it like draw in a little bit and then sort of push it down in. And then you look at the smoke as it's coming up and you puff it, and then based on how much smoke's coming out, you can add a little bit more gradually, but you don't want to smother it right away. You want it to be kind of a strong base of embers at the bottom, and you want to reach down with your hive tool and kind of tamp it down so you don't get burnt. And when you have a decent amount of smoke, you can gradually add to that, and you can pack it in. And again, you want to make sure you don't have treated wood chips. You want to have just raw wood shavings, like people use cedar chips. And it's a nice smell, and you can tamp that in, gradually add to it, and when you get that nice thick smoke like that, you can start packing it in. And when you do, you'll have a smoker that may stay lit for an hour, and especially as you puff it in the bee yard, and you can pack it up to the top if you want, and you're ready to go. And then when you go to smoke your beehive, you want to make sure that if you smoke your hand, let's say it was really hot and it burns my hand, I can't do that. What you don't want to do is smoke your bees with it, or you will injure them and make them mad. And that's exactly what you're not trying to do. So another option you might have is, we start with a smoker. You may see these beginner smokers, which if you only have 1 to 2 hives, this could work fine. You may have to relight it several times during an inspection. But it will work, and similar ideas. You have a grate in the bottom there, and you want to make sure that your grate is upside right with the feet down. So you push that in there, and then your fuel goes in much the same way, and it's just a lot less fuel you're going to have in there ultimately, and you get it lit. But then this one, it's got another dome top to it, but it's a little bit different because it's got this little grate that aerates it, and the advantage of that is when you finish up from a smoking day, you can actually pour your old fuel in there, and you can start fresh in here Or alternatively, if you've got everything in there, you can tamp it down with a hive tool, and you can put a little bit of space in there. And just as before, you can put some kind of a starter in there. So let's use newspaper this time, and just tear up a little bit, and make yourself a little bit of a ball. And you can push that in to your bottom layer of fuel, and the old fuel we had from last time. And again, you light from the bottom, and you can also light with pine straw, or you can use pine straw as your main fuel, and you give it a little bit of air, and that will get it lit. And if you have a decent fire going, you can add fuel and from whatever container you may choose. A lot of people use steel pails, and you can add your fuel, tamp it down in there. And what you don't want is you don't want to have flames when you're smoking with your bees. So sometimes packing it down helps a little bit with that, and also you can get some fresh grass, put that on the top to keep it cool. People have different methods of doing this. It's not the only right way necessarily, but you pack it down in there and you puff it, and it starts to kind of take there. And one advantage of pine straw is like that big, that thick, puffy smoke. And put your lid down, and you are ready to go. And then one thing I might add would be, you've got this little hook that you can anchor on the side of your hive box. But additionally, if you try to hook that in your pocket, it's kind of against you like that. But one thing I took from somebody I saw was a hook on the back, so you can slide that into your pocket when you're doing an inspection. So that may help for convenience sake. But it's a nice thick smoke, and again, making sure you're not burning yourself and your bees when you go to smoke. And a little bit goes a long way. You smoke your hive entrance. If you know that it may be a rough hive, give them a moment. And then as you go and as you become more familiar with beekeeping, you may find you use less smoke, and you might not even use it at all. But it's still a very good idea to at least have your smoker lit for each inspection you do.